You're not cutting into my daughter's spine, and I'm not paying for it. Find another option or find another guardian. That's the first sentence I heard my mother say to the surgeon while I lay on the gurney, barely conscious. Blood drying sticky along my neck. Not is she okay, not will she walk again, not even is she alive, just that. I tried to move my head. Pain detonated down my back like someone had poured fire through my bones. The ceiling above me blurred into a smear of white and fluorescent. Mom, my voice came out as a croak. Mom, please. She didn't even look at me. The surgeon did. He leaned over my bed. Eyes. Kind but urgent. Kenzie. Can you hear me? You've had a serious fall. There's a fracture near your spine. We need your mother's consent to operate as soon as possible. I remembered the moment it happened in jagged flashes, the family party in our backyard. The fairy lights strung across the trees, my uncle handing me a glass of sparkling cider and saying, "Sweet 16. Kiddo." My cousins daring me to climb up on the second-story balcony, railing for a video. Come on. Ken's. It'll look sick on TikTok, me. Half laughing. Half nervous. Saying, "Guys, this is stupid." A shove. A scream. Air rushing past my ears. The ground rising up too fast. Then nothing. Now I was here. Strapped to a board. My legs numb. My hands trembling. Listening to my mother argue with the man trying to save me. She's overreacting. Mom snapped. I could hear her heels clicking on the tile as she paced. She always does. I don't want some risky surgery for a maybe outcome. You said yourself there are no guarantees. There are never guarantees. The surgeon replied. Calm but firm. But without intervention, she could lose all function below the waist. This isn't a bruise. Ms. Holloway. It's critical. My heart pounded so loud. I could barely hear him. Lose all function. Below the waist. Mom, I whispered. I can't feel my legs. She sighed like I'd inconvenienced her. See, she said. This is exactly what I mean. She's dramatic. I'm not signing anything until I talk to someone who actually understands the financial side of this. My insurance isn't covering an experimental operation. It's not experimental. The surgeon said, patience, thinning. It's standard emergency procedure. And every minute we wait increases the risk. I said no. She snapped. Find another way. Or someone else who wants to play hero. I heard another voice then. Male. Smooth. Too smooth. We could always move forward with the paperwork. He said. If you don't want the responsibility, I can step in. Stepdad. Graham. My mother's boyfriend turned fiancé who'd been living in our house for 6 months and calling himself the man of the family since day one. The surgeon frowned. Paperwork. My mother exhaled dramatically. The guardianship transfer. I told you we were already planning it. If Kenzie can't handle herself, maybe it's better this way. She'll be with someone. Stronger. My blood ran cold. Mom, my voice shook. What are you talking about? She finally looked at me. Her expression wasn't soft or worried. It was annoyed. Detached. Like I was an item on her to-do list that wouldn't stop buzzing. You heard me. She said. You've always been too much. Kenzie. Too sensitive. Too needy. Graham has offered to take legal guardianship if this turns into more work than I can manage. More work. That's what I was to her. Not a daughter. A burden. The surgeon's voice cut through the roaring in my ears. Ms. Holloway. With all due respect, your daughter's life and mobility are at stake. You can't just sign her away to avoid making a decision. Watch me, she said. I felt tears spill sideways into my hair. Mom, I whispered. Please, I'll do anything. Just let them fix this. She stared at me, eyes flat. You should have thought about that before you climbed up there like an idiot. Actions have consequences. Kenzie, maybe this is the one that finally teaches you. I thought the fall was the worst moment of my life. It wasn't. This was. Because lying on that hospital bed, strapped down, spine fractured, legs numb, listening to my own mother refuse to save me and hand me off to a man who didn't love me, was when I realized the real danger wasn't my broken body. It was the woman who'd raised me. Thank you for staying with me through this brutally painful beginning. If any part of this hits close to home feeling abandoned, unheard, or treated like a burden, your gentle support through a comment, a share, or even a quiet subscribe truly means more to me than I can say. I'm grateful you're here with me. I used to think moms were supposed to be soft, warm hands, gentle words, a place to land when the world hurt too much. Mine was sharp edges and cold glances long before I understood what the word mother even meant. Growing up, people would smile and say how beautiful she was, how put together, how impressive, how lucky I was to have her. But they never saw the way her jaw clenched when I cried, or how her eyes hardened whenever I asked for help, or how she told me, over and over, you were easier to love before you learned how to talk. Graham arrived when I was 13. Loud, charming, expensive teeth. The kind of man who filled a room with his presence before he even walked in. He called me kiddo at first. Then princess. Then high maintenance when Mom wasn't in the room. But the real shift came later when he moved in. Suddenly, there were new rules. Suddenly, my allowance disappeared. Suddenly, every decision, what I wore, who I saw, how late I stayed out, had to be approved. By him. Mom gave him control like it was nothing. Like I was nothing. You need structure. She'd say, Graham knows best. He didn't know best. He knew power, and he liked using it. Which is why the party felt wrong from the moment it started. Mom rented out a fancy venue, hired a photographer, invited half the town. Not for me, God. Never for me. But for the photos she could post, the image she could maintain, the performance she could perfect. I tried to disappear into the background, smile when cameras pointed my way, make myself small enough that nobody called me out. But my cousins had other plans. They always did. Come on. Ken's, just climb up for a second, it'll be funny. I said no. They shoved anyway. You're such a buzzkill. One sneered. God. No wonder your mom hates bringing you places. I laughed it off because that was easier than letting their words stab the way they always did. So I climbed up, one foot on the railing, one hand gripping a fairy light post. Then a shove, a scream. Gravity pulling me like a magnet. My last thought before impact wasn't fear. It was humiliation. Now, lying on a hospital bed with a fractured spine, I realized something I never dared admit. Mom didn't refuse the surgery because she was shocked. She refused because she'd already decided what to do with me. And the more I replayed the things she whispered to Graham behind closed doors, the more sense it made. She's too much work. She's always been a problem. I can't keep doing this. We'll make the custody change official soon. Custody change. Not for a child. For me, a 16-year-old girl who could walk, breathe, laugh, run until tonight. A 16-year-old whose future they were signing away like a used piece of furniture. In the hospital room, I heard Mom's voice again through the curtain. I'm not signing. I told you if she comes out of this paralyzed. I'm done. Graham will handle the paperwork. My blood ran cold, because suddenly, everything clicked. If I couldn't walk, if I couldn't fight, if I couldn't speak for myself, I was easier to control, easier to hand off, easier to erase. And maybe, just maybe, that's exactly what they wanted. Part 3 is the escalation. Surgeons push back harder. Graham grows aggressive. Kenzie overhears something horrifying. This wasn't an accident. Someone at the party meant for her to fall. As her condition deteriorates, a nurse secretly asks Kenzie if she wants to override her mother's refusal. But the biggest shock comes when a stranger arrives at the hospital, claiming to be her court-appointed guardian. With documents Kenzie has never seen before, pain throbbed through my lower spine in heavy pulses, each one sharper than the last. It felt like someone was driving nails into my nerves. I tried moving my foot. Nothing. Not even a twitch. A nurse adjusted my IV. Honey, can you feel this? She asked, touching my calf. No. I whispered. Please, please help me. Her eyes softened with something like pity and fear. She leaned down, voice low. Kenzie, can you answer something honestly? Do you want the surgery? Yes. I breathed. Please. I don't want to lose my legs. She hesitated. Then, legally, you might be able to consent yourself. You're 16. It depends, the curtain whipped back. Graham stood there, shoulders squared, jaw tight, eyes glittering with something that made my stomach twist. What the hell are you telling her? He snapped. The nurse straightened. Startled. Sir, you don't talk to her about medical procedures. He barked. Her mother said no. That means no. The nurse stepped back. Uneasy. I have to advocate for my patient, no. He repeated. Low and dangerous. You advocate for the guardian. And that's about to be me. I felt bile rise in my throat. Graham, I whispered. Please stop. He leaned down close enough that I could smell the mint on his breath. You listen to me. Kiddo, he murmured. Your mom and I have worked hard for this family. You don't get to derail everything because you made a stupid choice at a party. My hands trembled. I didn't jump. Someone pushed me. He froze. Just for a second. Just long enough to confirm something I didn't want to believe. Then his face smoothed into a practiced mask. You fell, he said coldly. Don't make this worse by lying. But a memory flashed sharp. Sudden. Electric. Someone behind me. Hot breath. A hissed whisper. Then the shove. I hadn't recognized the voice then, but now, with Graham standing this close, something in my chest cracked open. The nurse turned to me again. Voice trembling. Kenzie, if you want the operation, I can call a patient advocate. We can. My mother stormed into the room. Absolutely not. She snapped. No more conversations about surgery without my approval. She thrust a folder toward the surgeon. Here. The guardianship transfer. Expedite it. I want Graham listed as primary for all medical decisions. Effective. Immediately. My heart stopped. She had it ready. Brought it with her. Had planned all of this long before tonight. The surgeon straightened sharply. Ms. Holloway. This procedure is urgent. Waiting for legal transfers. Not your concern. She snapped. File it. Now. The nurse looked at me helplessly. Kenzie, she whispered. We're running out of time. My vision swam. The edges of the room blurred. And then, a knock. Soft. Polite. Out of place. Everyone turned. A man in a navy blazer stepped inside, holding a leather portfolio. He looked nothing like hospital staff, nothing like social services, nothing like anything that belonged to my mother's world. "Hello," he said calmly. "I'm looking for Kenzie Holloway." My mother bristled. "Who are you? This is private." He ignored her completely. He stepped beside my bed, opened his portfolio, and placed a stamped document in my lap. The header made my blood run cold. State of South Carolina Emergency Guardianship Order, my name. Signed. Authorized. Filed 2 days ago. The man met my stunned eyes. "My name is Adrian Cole," he said softly. "Kenzie, your father appointed me as your emergency guardian before he passed." The room exploded. My mother screamed. Graham cursed. The surgeon froze. The nurse gasped. But I couldn't breathe, because Adrian leaned closer, his voice breaking just enough for me to believe him. "Your father knew something was wrong. He knew you might be in danger. And he told me," his throat tightened. "He told me to get to you before they did at A." My mother's scream echoed through the room like something animalistic. "What is this?" she shrieked, snatching the document from my lap. "This is fraudulent. Kenzie's father died 3 years ago." Adrian didn't flinch, which is exactly why he filed this. Posthumous authority. Activated only if his daughter was ever placed in danger. Graham stepped forward, fists clenched. "You need to walk out of this room." Before Adrian turned his head, calm as stone. "Before what?" And, for the first time since I'd known him, Graham backed up. The surgeon cleared his throat. "Mr. Cole, do you understand the situation? This girl needs emergency spinal surgery. We needed a guardian signature 30 minutes ago." "I know," Adrian said. "That's why I'm here." Mom turned on him like a hurricane. "You have no right to sign anything. I am her mother." Adrian didn't raise his voice, didn't blink, didn't move an inch. "Then act like it," he said quietly. The words hit the air like a slap. Even the nurse froze. My mother's jaw dropped open. "You, how dare you? You refused life-saving surgery." Adrian continued. "You attempted to transfer guardianship in the middle of a medical emergency." And he held up a second document. "I was notified by the court this morning that you also attempted to surrender Kenzie into state care without her knowledge." My heart shattered. "Mom, you did what?" She went pale. I never. That's taken out of context," Graham cut in. Tone harsh. "She's dramatizing it." "Ken's." "She always," Adrian snapped his head toward him. "You lay a single word of manipulation on her. And I'll charge you with coercion in a medical crisis. For the first time." "Graham, shut up." The surgeon stepped closer to my bed. "Kenzie, your window is closing. If you want to walk again, we must go now. I need your guardian's decision." Adrian looked at me, not at my legs. Not at the machines, at me. "Kenzie," he said softly. "I'm signing the consent. But I want you to answer one thing honestly." His voice broke just slightly. "Do you want the surgery?" Everything inside me cracked. "Yes," I whispered. "Please. I don't want to lose my legs." "Then it's done." Adrian turned to the surgeon. "Prepare the oar." My mother lunged forward. "No, you can't. She's my daughter. Escort her out." Adrian said to security. The guards stepped in. My mother fought wildly, screaming, "Kenzie, tell them you don't want this. Tell them you're not stable. Tell them I closed my eyes." And for the first time in my life, I didn't obey her fear. "I want the surgery." I said, "And I want you to leave." Her whole body went still. Then her expression changed slowly, chillingly into something hateful. "You think he's saving you," she spat. "You think anyone will believe your version of what happened? You've always been a broken little liar." Adrian stepped forward. "Lady, you just said that in front of 3 nurses and 2 officers." Her face went white. Security pulled her out. Graham followed, cursing under his breath. The moment they were gone, the room felt warmer, safer, different. The nurse touched my arm. "Kenzie, we'll take good care of you." The surgeon nodded and began prepping. But Adrian, still standing beside me, lowered his voice. "Your father left more than paperwork," he said. "There's something he discovered before he died, something he wanted you to know. And once you're stable," he hesitated, "you'll need to see it." My breath caught. "What is it?" He shook his head. "Not now. You need to survive first." As the nurses rolled my bed toward surgery, the weight of everything hit me. My mother didn't just neglect me. She planned this. She wanted me powerless. And my father knew it long before I did. Before I continue with the next chapter, thank you for staying with me through this painful turning point. If you've ever been dismissed or betrayed by someone who was supposed to protect you, your gentle support through a like, a comment, a share, or even a quiet subscribe truly means the world to me. I'm grateful you're here with me. Waking up felt like swimming through cement. Heavy, slow, cold. Beeping machines pulsed beside me. A soft blanket covered my legs, but I couldn't tell if they were actually there. Then a voice broke through the fog. "Kenzie, hey, I'm right here." "Adrian." My throat tightened. Did the surgery?" He leaned closer. Eyes, gentle but serious. "You made it through. The surgeons did everything they could." "Can I?" My voice cracked. "Can I move my legs?" Adrian hesitated. Just long enough to punch fear straight through my ribs. Before he could answer, the surgeon stepped in, still wearing scrubs. "Kenzie, you're awake." "Good." He checked my vitals, then looked me in the eye. "We stabilized the fracture, but your spinal cord was under significant compression." My breathing hitched. "So I'm paralyzed." "We don't know yet," he said gently. "Swelling is high. Nerves are in shock. We'll reassess in the next 48 hours. Fear wrapped around my throat. The surgeon continued. "But I need to tell you something else. Something concerning." I blinked. "What?" "When we examined the injury pattern, we noticed something inconsistent with a simple fall." My chest tightened. "Inconsistent how?" He exchanged a glance with Adrian before speaking. "Your fracture aligns with an impact that suggests force from behind. You didn't just fall. Kenzie, you were shoved." My fingers curled around the sheets. I told them. I told Mom and Graham." "Yes," the surgeon said softly. "And they dismissed you." Adrian stepped closer. "They dismissed you because acknowledging it would destroy everything they're hiding." The surgeon nodded grimly and lowered his voice. "Honey, I've seen a lot of accidents. This wasn't one." He left to continue rounds. But the words stayed like ice in my bloodstream. Someone wanted me to fall. Someone wanted me broken. Adrian pulled a chair beside my bed and opened the leather folder he'd brought earlier. "Kenzie," he said quietly, "your father left you more than a guardianship document. He left you answers." He slid a small digital recorder onto my blanket. My heart jumped. What is that? "A recording your dad made 6 weeks before he died." Adrian said. "He didn't trust your mother. He didn't trust Graham. And he suspected someone else was involved in something dangerous." My hands shook as I pressed play. Static. A heavy breath. Then my father's voice shaky but determined. If anything happens to me, or to Kenzie, it won't be an accident. I'm certain now. Someone is watching the house. Someone close. My pulse hammered. He continued. I saw Graham arguing with someone outside the garage. I couldn't hear everything, but I heard one name, Evan. I froze. Evan. My cousin. The same cousin who had shoved me jokingly before at family events. The same cousin who had whispered insults behind my back since we were kids. The same cousin who filmed everything for clout. My breath stuttered. Adrian unfolded another paper. An incident report my father had filed privately. He believed Evan and Graham were working together. Adrian explained. Money. Insurance. Control. Maybe more. He wasn't sure. But he knew you were at risk. I pressed a trembling hand to my chest. I never even suspected. Then another memory slammed into me at the party. Right before I fell. A voice behind me. Should have listened. Low. Laughing. Evan's voice. Suddenly, everything lined up like a nightmare snapping into focus. My fall. My mother refusing surgery. Graham. Pushing guardianship. Evan disappearing the moment I hit the ground. My father's warning wasn't paranoia. It was prophecy. I looked at Adrian. Tears slipping hot down my temples. They wanted to get rid of me. Adrian's expression hardened, not cold, but protective in a way I had never experienced in my life. Yes, he said, and now we're going to make sure they answer for it. The next morning, sunlight filtered through the blinds like thin gold slivers cutting across my blanket. My lower spine throbbed. But something felt different. I wiggled my toes. For a second. Nothing. Then a faint twitch. Small. Weak. But real. My breath caught in my throat. Adrian. I think he looked up from a stack of documents. Eyes widening. Kenzie, what is it? My toes. I whispered. I felt them move. He reached for the call button without hesitation. You're getting sensation back. That's incredible. The nurse rushed in, followed quickly by the surgeon.